Hello, my name is Keandria Green. This video is not real. It's for the purposes of classes only, and I'm going to be attempting to demonstrate the integrative view. This is my participant. His name is Marquise. How you doing, Marquise?
Pretty good, pretty good.
All right, we're gonna get started. All right, Marquise, what brings you in today?
Um, I'm coming in here today to discuss some things that are going on within my marriage and things that I'm having a problem seeing eye to eye with, or more so agreeing with, based on the way that I was raised as a child, all the way up until I became a man myself, and wanted to pattern myself pretty much off of what I know to work. So, but it's causing friction in my home. So,
Okay. And what is the biggest concern that you have about your marriage at the moment?
Basically, I would say the biggest problem to me right now is that I'm trying to establish a system and an organization of how I was taught that marriages are strong and work and tend to have a longer lasting effect versus on what could be considered conventional or traditional ways of doing things.
Okay.
So
it sounds like you really value marriage and you have a strong foundation of seeing your parents, I'm assuming, seeing their marriage. Were they married?
right, they were.
Okay, tell me a little bit about that.
Well, they, came from, like most of the stories go, but this is, true in itself, but they came from nothing, and tried to build something together into something that would last a lifetime, so to speak, and basically seeing the way their parents were before them and so on and so forth. So it's like it was passed down the pipeline, so to speak, and strong family values of understanding that these are the type of ways that marriages are supposed to go in order to last a certain, time frame. And a lot of times nowadays people don't really see the understanding of that, and there's more so just under the umbrella of a traditional style of how they feel that it should go, and a lot of times that doesn't really solve a lot of issues as well. So it's pretty much trying to find something that works best for you. But my parents did what they needed to do to survive. My mother, she went through a lot. I would say she went through a lot with my dad. My dad was, strong, willful minded person that, had a blue collar mentality, worked hard work, and, you reward yourself by, reaping the benefits of what you do throughout the week to support your family. So seeing the food on the table, seeing the smiles on our faces, was one of the things that he valued, but it came at a cost because my mom, she wanted to be able to be more of a modern day situation where she wanted to actually be able to go out and work herself and be able to, bring home somewhat of a half of what needed to be brought home to survive. And my father wasn't really a fan of that because he felt like a woman didn't need to work, she just needed to be home, to take care of the kids, make sure the house is where it's supposed to be. And the man goes out into the world, goes out into the, corporate America or wherever, and just do whatever he needs to do to get what he needs to bring home to make sure the family is fine. Excuse me. So, in my eyes, I saw that was what kept us with, school clothes, and kept us with food, and kept us with, things that we wanted to do after school, like sports or whatnot. So, I always thought that was a way of life, and not understanding at a young age that, it could take a toll on someone if they're not, understanding of that in a situation like that. So I feel like, not to say history repeat itself, but in growing up and seeing that, it's just how I see a betterment of us moving forward. You know, I go out and do what I need to do to make sure we got it, and then she just make sure the kids are straight, and then we should be fine. But a lot of times, I guess that's a lot of pressure or a lot of stress on her behalf. So we don't really see eye to eye a lot with that.
Okay. So what I hear you saying is that you were brought up in a more traditional family. Y'all your parents valued gender roles, where the husband goes out and works and provides for the family. Wife stays home, supports the kids, takes care of home, and provides all the home needs. And however, it did work for them, and it worked. I'm assuming they had a long marriage, or at least a lengthy marriage. And I think there were some benefits that you mentioned, as far as, you know, Dad would come home with money for food, and he would bring y'all gifts home every now and then. That kind of made it work for you, your family. But at the end of the day, it sounds like you said that your mom had to sacrifice her happiness,
right?
Because she did want to contribute a little bit more to the family, but because of your dad's beliefs in gender roles, and I'm assuming religion, probably.
Yeah, you know, religion kind of played a part in our household. You know, my dad really didn't go to church as much because he was always working. You know, a lot of times he went in on Sundays.
Oh, okay.
To make sure. So there was a lot of times there was 7-day weeks, and you know, it's one of them things where my mom would take us to church. You know, if you know she felt like, you know, we needed to get that into our system and kind of like restart our week or whatnot. So, you know, sometimes we would go to church, sometimes we wouldn't, but she always made sure that if she wasn't there or she didn't go, she would listen to it on the radio or, you know, tune into like one of the local channels or whatever. So it was one of those things where, you know, God was, because we're Christians, so God was really, you know, prevalent in our lives and in our home. But like I said, my dad was, you know, his whole mentality was just hard work and understanding that, you know, the next day is not promised, the next week not promised. So we got to do what we got to do to get it while we can, and understand that that's a vital part of being who we are and how we survive. So, you know, like religion was there, but, you know, it really wasn't a deciding factor on whether or not, you know, she should have been going to work or should not have. But that's just how, you know, things went, you know. But so like I said, we did go to church or whatnot, but it was one of those things that we never went as a complete family.
Okay.
You know, maybe on Easter, you know, for the holiday, because we might not be working. My dad probably wasn't working at the time. But yeah, so.
Okay. So it sounds like a lot of your upbringing was around traditional forms of marriage and structures of family. And so what do you feel like is causing the most disruption in your marriage right now with your current life? Your current marriage?
Just pretty much, I would say the fact that she doesn't want to stay home, and you know, she really wants to go out and find work and get a job. And my thing is, you don't have to do that. You know, I, you know, have a good enough job to where I know I can provide for the family and kind of have what we need just to enjoy ourselves. You know, and so. Yeah, it would be more, but then there would be other expenses that come into play. So we need to find a babysitter. We need to find daycare, or we gotta, you know, base how we eat every day on a certain, you know, are we gonna eat? Are we gonna cook and eat because both of us tired and be working, or are we gonna order out? Now we're ordering out a lot, so now the money is starting to dwindle in certain spots that we don't really need it going, because if one of us is here and the other one's doing what we need to do, and the food can be cooked. The food that's paid for can be cooked. Yeah, and so it's like a lot of things that you subtract some things, but you add some things. Vice versa, you add some things, and you also have to take away some things.
Okay.
So she just has this thing where she doesn't see herself being a homebody.
Okay.
You know, and I mean. As far as, you know, with kids and everything like that, you know, you get stressed out, but I also give her time to do those things. You know, so like when I am not working, I make sure if she want to go out and she want to do something, that she can do that. And so I guess maybe that's not enough time for her, but, you know, I think that's really like the main problem or the main situation that's causing our friction and you know, keeping us at each other's necks about it. So
Mhm.
I would say that.
Okay. So it sounds like what you're saying is y'all kind of have a little bit of a different viewpoints on her going to work. You feel like that her going to work will cause y'all to kind of mix up your routine a little bit. You know, you have to readjust your budget. You have to readjust certain things. You know, certain way y'all do things as a family right now. And then on the other hand, you see that she wants to kind of maybe get out and socialize and, you know, kind of feel normal to where she feels like she's connected to community and those types of things. So what do you feel like is a barrier to why you can't see her perspective as something that could be possible in the near future?
I see her perspective, you know, but I feel like her perspective is based on her satisfaction instead of the whole satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she feels she's tired or she needs to get away or she don't want to be in the house all day or whatever, but she has, you know, availability to do things. You know, the kids are at school
Mm-hmm.
or in daycare. There's a whole window of time,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that you can go out, you know, do whatever you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because if we're on a set schedule of how, you know, routine, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
how things normally go, then if the house is always, you know, kept clean and everything like that, so we really don't have to focus too much on doing that every, you know what I'm saying, every day.
Mm-hmm.
Just when you know, here and there when you need to, or specific days when you feel like you have to, but there's a lot of time when you can do things
Mm-hmm.
and not feel like you know, just cooped up in the house all day or whatnot. But I don't think she really feels or sees that as an option based on how she feels about the situation as a whole.
Okay. So it sounds like she's kind of sticking to her perspective of she wants to go out and do these things, and you're trying to help her understand your point of view of how that could disrupt your normal routines of the way y'all have things going at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So how long has this been going on? How long have y'all been having this disagreement?
Well, I would say before I decided to go, before I decided to come in, and I felt like it had got to a point of, you know, the arguments becoming more and more frequent.
Mm-hmm.
No violence of any sort like that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times, you know, people will say verbal abuse is worse than physical.
Okay.
But, you know, a lot of that going on and really not getting to a common ground on certain things. So I felt like maybe, you know, seeing someone, you know, such as yourself as a professional to kind of give a level of understanding or something that we both probably don't see,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and kind of like come to a resolve at some point. But I believe that's probably, you know, the gist of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the arguments and the, you know, just always being frustrated and, you know, not even in the mood to do anything sexually or anything like that. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just kind of from one little situation of an understanding or acknowledgement of what the situation is
Mm-hmm.
causes all of these things to fall into place. So I feel like if we could both come to a certain middle ground
Mm-hmm.
and figure out the best solution, then we probably can get through it. But I know we can get through it, but it's just, she's real, you know, passionate on how she feels. So it's a constant battle.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe that's pretty much the strongest part of it, right there.
Okay. So you're saying that y'all are arguing a little bit more than normal and it's kind of getting uncomfortable because you don't want to, of course, it sounds like you don't want to hurt your wife, you care about her.
Right.
You came to seek help, so clearly you care about her feelings and you want to understand her a little bit more than you do. So what would be a goal for both of y'all? I know you said y'all want to get to a middle ground, but what does the middle ground look like? What are you willing to do? Or what is it that you are definitely not willing to do? And what is her goal?
Well, I obviously I would say her goal is to just be able to go and work and get a job and whatever she wants to do that's she feels like could help out. But my goal is to get her to understand that a lot of people don't have those type of, I guess you could say, those type of options, so to speak, to choose from. I can go to work, or I don't have to go to work. You know, or da da da. I feel like any person would choose, if they didn't have to work, that they wouldn't go to work. But some people just feel like, you know, that they're different and they was raised a certain way, such as myself, and that their style of being, you know, what they believe considers them a strong individual, maybe dealing with work or having to have a job, or, you know, feeling like you're going to get it. I just want her to see the fact that she is, I would say she's blessed in a sense of someone that cares enough about you to tell you that you don't have to go to work, that you don't need to go to work, that you, whatever. I'm blessed because I was blessed to be able to, through my upbringing, come to this point where I can provide. So I feel like I was presented with you know, a blessing that I can spread across to my family, but then she feels like she has to bring her blessings when it's all really a blessing to be where we are initially. Anyway. So she don't see that way yet. Maybe, you know, with a third party person bringing a different type of, you know, 2 cents, so to speak, in to kind of broaden up the horizon a little bit. She make it see where I'm coming from. Then maybe eventually, maybe I'm not seeing what I need to do more or less. So this is just where I'm at right now. So hopefully, you know, we can get to a point where she can see where I'm coming from. Because I feel like that relieves a lot of unwanted stress, and, you know, just you already being a parent, but you want to deal with being a full-time employee as well, or whatever. But when you have that time to decompress while they're gone and you're home alone, or, you know, you do whatever you want to do, then that really could help. You know, so maybe she can get to that point to see where I'm coming from, but maybe not. But I would like to see that she could.
Okay.
I don't want it to seem like I'm forcing her, but if she could see the pros and cons, and that the pros outweigh the cons, and I can understand that she should see where I'm coming from. You know, so.
Okay. So I hear you saying that.
Excuse me. Do you mind if I grab a water?
Yeah, sure. Again, I appreciate you for sharing with me. Just take your time, and we'll get through this. So I hear you saying that pretty much that you have a goal in mind of y'all coming to some middle ground to where she could possibly see where you're coming from, and see you being able to provide a life where she does not have to work, as a blessing more than she sees it as something that she, you know, takes for granted. So is there any feelings that you are kind of feeling that are underlying unresolved feelings towards her leaving home and going to get a job that you might not have considered before now?
Nah, I mean, I wouldn't say that I had any, you know, doubts or any insecurity, so to speak, of her going to work or just going out, you know what I'm saying, trying to find a job or whatnot. But I think what's more so bothering me is the fact that she can't see that I'm trying to show her that this is the easiest, most comfortable position that a person with what you have going on can be in. Kids, you know, she's also into school. You know, but it's not like physical in schools, online.
Okay.
But she's going through that as well, so she got to put that in perspective. It's not a lot. It's, you know, whenever she needs it whenever she has to complete certain things from time to time based on what semesters and stuff like that are in. But she's been able to handle doing that with the time that she has not at work. Now, putting work in the mix along with that, and along with being a parent, now it comes with a lot of added twists and turns, and you always on, back and forth mode.
Mm-hmm.
So now that causes more friction, because now you're stressed. Now I'm tired.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes when I get off or whatever the case may be. So now we're both tired. We're both angry. We're both stressed. We're both, kind of, just distant and everything. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like all because of one situation
Mm-hmm.
or one system that's in place causes all these things to, the domino
down.
effect,
Mm-hmm.
one after another, behind what she says that I have to rebuttal on, and then what I say she got to rebuttal on, and it goes on and on. So
Mm-hmm.
the thing is, I just feel like it shouldn't be a problem to get to a middle ground, but both of us have to be able to want to get there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to get there, but it seems like she's not.
Okay, so it sounds like she's trying to address an issue that she's feeling very passionate about, as you mentioned. So in speaking of terms of going your perspective, if everything went your way, as far as she was able to kind of like, okay, you know what, you do give me a good life. I don't have to go to work just to seek other forms of happiness. I could find it in other ways at home, doing other things or just trying new things. How do you feel like that will affect your relationship in the long run?
Well, for one, I see automatic stress being relieved, and I would say on both sides, really.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say I would definitely try to put more forth of an effort to lean towards helping more, as far as when I'm home with her.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And understand that if I want her to do this, and I can really do something to help out with that, and
Mm-hmm.
I can see that happening, and I can see it getting to a more solid ground,
Mm-hmm.
so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it has potential to get to where
Mm-hmm.
it needs to be, and once it get there, it's not really, hard to try to maintain that, because it's been in place anyway. It's just having the understanding of what's in place
Mm-hmm.
and why.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like we can really do it if it gets to that point, and I see it getting, once it gets to that point, I see it getting more and more enjoyable
Mm-hmm.
down the line.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I see it.
Okay. So I hear you saying you have ideas of how, if you were to, if she was to agree not to go to work, and she was able to agree to adjusting her schedule, and you just mentioned some great things as well. You just mentioned that you would identify areas where she could use more help, so she could be a little bit happier at home, doing things that you want her to do and need her to do at home.
Right.
And you're willing to listen to her in that area, and maybe that'll kind of ease the situation of her feeling some type of void in her life, and you feel like she'll come around to feel whole as your wife.
Yeah, I feel like she'll. Initially, I feel like it's going to be pushback,
Mm-hmm.
of course, but I mean, it's nothing wrong with having the ability to be more laid back
Mm-hmm.
and not lesser of a woman.
Mm-hmm.
There's two different things. So she may feel like by her not doing anything is taking what she feels is a woman away from her.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times it's the total opposite.
Mm-hmm.
You gaining more by being at home more.
Mm-hmm.
Because now you get to open your mind up to everything instead of having to focus on certain things when you're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
That closes the window up of the time that you had to explore those other things that you got going on, or you're trying to figure out. But when you have that time on your hands, and then you can kind of spread it out a lot better,
Mm-hmm.
then I feel like that's the winning, like that's the winning formula to try to get to where you want to be.
Okay.
So I don't think what I'm saying, what I'm feeling like is the best thing to do is the exact right way.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have a lot of supporting arguments of why she does too. But it involves her basically not understanding what's the benefit that she has. So
So when y'all communicate, how does that communication and dialogue go to where it leads to an argument? What is the part that leads to arguments and maybe disagreements and you all hurting each other?
Normally it's basically just a conversation that happens, and then it goes from the conversation to more of a debate. Now it's a debate, and now we're trying to like prove whose point is better. And then it goes from that to, well, you're not understanding, or you're not understanding, and then it goes to you're not listening, or you're not listening, and then it just goes to, well, I don't want to hear it, and then that turns into argument back and forth of just everything, and not even what we were talking about, just things that just pop up in your mind, and you just spitting stuff back and forth at each other and stuff. So it's just a build up, like a snowball effect of things that leads to us just getting real vocal and passionate, and just at some point we just got to separate ourselves and go our separate ways. So that's usually like the gist of what happens until it's to the point where we disperse from each other, and maybe after we cool down, we get back to a point where we can sit down and try to talk about it again. But that's usually just the whole 9 yards of what happens.
Okay.
That's like I said, it's never been a time where we had physical situation or altercations or anything like that. It's just a lot of loud talking, and that's it pretty much. But I feel like the longer this could go on as a pattern, it could change, and then something could evolve into something like that. But that's why we're here. So.
Gotcha. Completely understand. So, you mentioned a few times about your religious beliefs, and you mentioned you're a Christian. What does God? What is your definition of a marriage and a union? What do you define your marriage as?
Well, to me. I feel like it would not so much how I define it, but what I consider a marriage is in itself as a whole is when the two people, unite under a understanding before God that whatever they have spoken out to each other in the sense of a vow, that they have to stand by that, and then never waver from how that vow is presented based on sickness, health, and all that stuff. So I feel like it's just basically what the Bible says it is, and to me, it's really all about understanding. You have to understand, one, who you're dealing with, and two, what you're dealing with, and how to maneuver through it. You know what I'm saying? It's just basically you saying in the name of who you believe in, or who's the higher power, that you and this person are gonna go hand in hand through whatever comes their way, and then don't never break away from it. That's the way I see it. Well, I think that's pretty much how everybody sees it. You know what I mean? So it's not like I want her to be some superwoman. Just understanding of what we got and what we need to do to make sure we keep it that way.
Okay. I hear what you're saying. So it sounds like what you're saying is that you feel like marriage is a union, that you and your wife took vows before God, and you're going to follow His directions as far as how you should conduct your relationship and conduct your marriage. Do you feel like there's any behaviors that you can change to possibly improve your communication with your wife?
I don't feel like I have done or do anything that really like stops me from understanding or listening and hearing what she's trying to tell me.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it's nothing more that I can do or less, you know what I'm saying, do less of.
Mm-hmm.
It's more along the lines of us coming to a middle ground based on how we both feel.
Mm-hmm.
So you can still feel the way you feel, I still feel the way I feel, but at some point we can come together and say, well, even though we feel this way, or I feel this way, or you feel this way, let's do it like this to where we both kind of, benefit from it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, she hasn't gotten to that point.
Explain that to me. What does that mean?
So, even if you had your differences, so I would say, like, just a simple example. If you like cheese pizza and I like pepperoni pizza,
Mm-hmm.
what do we do to meet middle ground?
Mm-hmm.
We just get a regular extra pepperoni pizza
Mm-hmm.
because it comes with cheese and it comes with pepperoni, so no need to buy two when you can get one.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if you understand that you don't have to work and you also understand that you don't like being at home a lot,
Mm-hmm.
then we should be able to do things where you don't have to go to work, but we still can go places and do things, or you can do something and feel free at your leisure to do, what you need to do to get away.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not pressuring you to do that, or I'm not forcing you to, or I'm not saying you have to listen to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying that maybe you can get to a point where you can understand of what I'm trying to get you to see
Mm-hmm.
the same way I see it.
Mm-hmm.
That's not me forcing you to do it. It's just like, okay, I didn't think about it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, all right, I see what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how you come to a middle ground. It's not me saying you have to do this, or you shouldn't do this, or you need to do this. Listen to what I'm saying, and then this is how we can do this together,
Mm-hmm.
or at least meet to a common ground.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like until we can get to that point, she still feels that she has to do what she needs to do,
Mm-hmm.
to survive or to feel more of
Mm-hmm.
in whatever, situation is. But I think that we can get there. It's just, using the right tools to get there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it sounds like what you're saying is y'all are kind of at a stuck point to where y'all both understand y'all want to get to a middle ground to where y'all can, reduce arguments, y'all can have a healthier communication style, and of course improve your overall relationship. Nobody wants to, argue and go through things because of a disagreement. And it sounds like she's at a point where she's really, really adamant about wanting some type of change, and you're adamant about her understanding your perspective of things. So, what's a realistic plan that y'all could explore or try to identify to be mindful of the goal? And
Well, I feel like this was a start of it today,
mm-hmm.
of coming in and kind of voicing the situation, kind of like letting everything out there on the line,
Mm-hmm.
and that way you can adjust and see and expect everything I'm saying, and based on your professionalism, kind of figure out ways that we can get to where I feel like we should try to get to.
Mm-hmm.
But she didn't think, or maybe she didn't realize, or maybe she wasn't aware of the fact that I was going to come in.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about it. That wasn't something that she was willing to do. I would say first,
Mm-hmm.
maybe do it together, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe I had to jumpstart the whole thing and kind of like understand, like he's not straying away from what he feels. So I feel like eventually, maybe we can come in together,
Mm-hmm.
and like I said, have that third party speak into what we have going on.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she could see a light different from a different, perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So that's realistic in itself of us coming in and doing the same thing that we're doing now with just me and her, and that way it's not an argument, it's not a debate, because you can kind of mediate between the both of us, and like basically we would have to listen to each other express what they got to say. So that's the realistic thing I think that could come out of it so far, at least to get the ball rolling on what we need to do to get to where we're trying to go.
Definitely. Yeah, I definitely commend you for coming in and seeking assistance with this issue. Definitely, when it comes to relationships, it can be complex and difficult because y'all are two individuals trying to make a union work, and y'all still have two different perspectives of life. So I commend you for even being mindful of what's going on in your relationship to the point where you know that you need a second opinion or you need some assistance. And I do encourage both of you to start counseling. So of course you all can kind of iron out some issues and, think of a great plan to get y'all relationship back on track and on the right road to success. So it sounds like you've already kind of thought about some things in a serious manner to where you're not trying to force her to see things your way or kind of agree with your perspective, but you definitely want to work on communication and kind of work on sticking to your vows and sticking to what y'all promised to each other, which is to stay committed to each other and get through some tough times.
Yeah, especially with today's society believes that a woman should have to be just as powerful or even more powerful than the male. But to me, I always felt like that can be the standard, but in the sense of what you believe in and how you express what you believe in, I believe in the fact that, like the Bible says, that the woman has to be submissive to the man. That doesn't mean that she has to get down on her knees and bow down to him and kiss his feet and make sure he has everything he needs, regardless of what she feels or needs or wants or whatever. That's not how that goes. It's not like, we're not in the medieval times where, I'm your leader or your king or dictator or whatever. But, and all it's saying is you are giving that man a chance to be a leader and empower what he considers to be his family and his community as far as people around him, and you should be right there behind them. But at the same time, regardless of you working or don't work, I don't have anything against women that go to work.
Okay.
I just feel like because of what I can provide, based on what I do, then you don't have to.
Okay.
Not more so I don't want you to, it's that you don't have to. So, I just see a lot of, bad representation on TV with all these shows, reality shows and all of these just ways of showing you that it has to be animosity in order for it to work, which it don't have to be. So my thing is, I'm just trying to get to that point where she can understand that, what she has is something that most people would quote unquote die for, but most people would really like to have, desire, and it's something that shouldn't be looked down upon or frowned upon, like I'm less of a person because I don't do X, Y, and Z. So that's what I feel in that regard.
So it sounds like you want her to find value in what she does and following your leadership as a husband and still feel valuable as a wife, that she's just as valuable as if she went to work and did the things that she feels she needs to do because she's feeling some type of void. But you want her to feel valuable because you do see her as valuable, but you want her to understand that the things that she does is valuable to you as her husband.
Right. And I also understand that, when you have someone that is a likable person,
Mm-hmm.
and deals with a lot of people from time to time, and as far as friends and stuff. A lot of times women talk and they conversate and they kind of manipulate each other in a sense of making someone feel bad about what they got going on, or what they should be doing, or why they shouldn't be doing this, or why they need to be doing that. And so that's something that women do, and I would always say, don't let somebody else's understanding make you kind of not understand what you already know. So in other words, like, don't let someone kind of persuade you to react or think or do something that you wouldn't normally do, because that ain't the way you would go. But because now someone you feel is close to you is saying you should do this or you should do that, it kind of make you think, and then like, you know what? Let me get away from what I normally do, and let's see what this is about.
Right.
And a lot of times, we get to a point that I feel like we're in right now of pushback, because I notice a pattern is changing, you don't like it, and you change it, and now it's causing a change between us, and it's also involving everything around us. So understanding that is a factor, and understanding that I'm not forcing you, but I'm more so inviting you to meet me halfway on something that I feel like will benefit both of us, especially you. I feel like that's where we need to be at.
Okay. So, in saying that, how do you feel? What will be the next step? So, because I'm assuming that this issue will come up again sooner or later. So, how would you approach the next conversation when y'all have that conversation?
Well, I feel like what we're doing right now and what we have spoken on so far today, and once we complete this session and everything is kind of documented, and kind of we can put what we have out there together as far as a think pattern. So I feel like me telling her about my experience today, she can't not understand or not see the benefit from what we can do with this, because this wasn't a bashing thing to where I'm telling you everything that I feel like she's doing wrong, but more so that just one situation that we don't have any issues with other stuff like that, but this is the one situation that can kind of be resolved and have a full circle moment.
Okay.
So I feel like we won't have a situation after this.
Okay.
But we have to now maintain it. In other words, like I said before, we can come in together and then get more and more information. Now you can kind of get an idea or some type of educated guess of what we're dealing with, but then you hear it from both of our perspectives. You get another more clear understanding. So now, each time we do that, if that's the case, then it gets more and more in depth, and we kind of pull from stuff and understand that we both can't get to that point, but we just needed the right tool to get there, like I said before.
Okay, well that sounds like a great plan. So what I hear you saying is that your plan is for y'all to both kind of come, if this comes up again, or just in the midst of just kind of being proactive, y'all gonna come in and just talk about it to get a good game plan, to hear each other out, and with a mediator kind of to help y'all understand and hear each other more clearly, and just kind of think of a good plan to help both of y'all get to where y'all both get what y'all need, or can find a middle ground in a healthy way. So it doesn't kind of further disrupt your relationship, or y'all don't continue to, participate in unhealthy communication styles, sometimes. So, because I from what I've heard today, I clearly can tell you love your wife and that you respect her and you value her very much. It's just a matter of, it's just one of those things where y'all are growing together, and things are changing, so you gotta address those things as they come. But I definitely appreciate you coming in today, and I definitely encourage you to ask your wife to come in, and we can talk about, booking a couples session, and we can go from there. How does that sound?
Yeah, it sounds pretty good to me. I mean, I feel like uh, she should be able to, especially from a woman's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's the thing that will help this, you know, whole situation to be more understood.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like if I would have gotten or if I would have just selected a man to be the therapist that I need to come, or the counselor I need to go talk to, or whoever,
Mm-hmm.
in whatever field it could have been in, but someone that has some type of understanding and knowledge to help us out.
Mm-hmm.
If it could have been a man anywhere, she'd have probably felt like I'm already leaning towards someone that sees it from my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like by going to a woman and laying it on the line and seeing it from my perspective, you have to understand my perspective a lot more thoroughly. But with her, you could probably already have certain things
Mm-hmm.
based on just being a woman.
Right.
So I don't feel like she would be more, I don't think she would push back more than she would if it was a man. So I feel like being that it's a woman, she'll come in and she'll be more
Open.
More
Receptive.
to open up
Mm-hmm.
than she would, I guess, with a male.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like, if we do that, then all of the things that I've been trying to say, or that I, do say, and she don't really see it at that moment,
Mm-hmm.
hearing it from someone else, a lot of times it makes it a lot more easier to see and hear.
Right. Right.
So I think that would help though. I think that would help. We could come in, because I feel like I was able to get a lot out
Mm-hmm.
without her without her and us having to go back and forth and kind of like trying to force it over top of each other, and you really don't get what you want to say anyway. You just be mad and
Mm-hmm.
loud and trying to over talk or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
I think doing it that way would really help, and I don't think she'll be against it. So
Okay.
I'm quite sure she'll say, okay, let's do it and let's see where it goes.
Okay, well, good deal, good deal. Also, I want to encourage you, because you did mention that you were a Christian man. I want to encourage you to continue to pray about the situation, continue to study the Bible, study the Word of what God says about, just treating each other kindly, showing compassion, showing understanding. Focus on some things about marriage, because God gives some great insight about, different scriptures about how to conduct different, marriages and deal with certain strifes in marriage, specifically marriage. You know what I mean? Because it's totally different the way you deal with other people or other people in the community, So definitely get in the Word and study the Word and see what the Word says. And just like I said, pray that God gives both of y'all understanding to where the situation will be just a stepping stone. And, y'all could together in grace find a way through this and, just continue to have a successful marriage and take care of your family in a way that's pleasing to God and, a way that's pleasing and healthy and for y'all as well.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, all of those things you just said really, are in position and play a factor in how, we carry out our everyday, dealings with each other. But like I said, everything, we both, like I said, both believe in the religion of Christ and everything like that. Like I said, we don't get to go to church a lot together, but we both do understand and we stay kind of, embedded in our word or whatever. So either way we're gonna get what we need to get out of it if we don't have to be exactly at the church. But
Definitely.
we're gonna find, and I feel like in doing so with her coming in, I feel like we also can find ways to make that more of a forefront.
Sure.
Trying to make sure that we can kind of change the narrative, so to speak, on how we, how we cooperate ourselves with going to church. So
Yeah.
we do that.
It's not, like you said, it's not about physically going to church, but definitely prayer is powerful. Prayer is powerful. Studying the Word is powerful because that's the living Word, and those words they activate God's favor and blessings. So definitely, even if y'all don't get to the point of ever going to church, the point is to spend time with God and understand what God wants for your lives. so that you can live in a way that is pleasing to him. He will continue to bless y'all's union.
Right.
Yeah, so that's the goal, and I'll be more than happy to help y'all get there for sure.
I really appreciate that, and I think everything that you've done so far. Well, I thank you for everything that you've done so far, and I feel like, and I believe that going forward with the both of us coming in, that we can. I see us getting to that point where we understand like the best situation, based on what we're trying to resolve. So I think I feel better knowing that, I came in today.
Okay.
So.
Good, I love to hear that. So, yeah, so that was a great session. Like I said, thank you for sharing your story with me. Thank you for sharing your personal life with me, and your personal, some of your personal struggles. Like I said, I'm here for you, and we will definitely set up our next meeting, and I'm looking forward to our next session.
All right, I appreciate it.
All right, yes, sir. You have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.